Our speaker tonight is the first entered the Scottish Parliament, one of the first Green parliamentarians to be elected anywhere in the UK. He's currently the co-convener of the Scottish Green Party. Tonight he'll be speaking on green politics and a change in Scotland. So could you please welcome everybody, Robin Harper.
And I'm going to keep my bit brief because I didn't realise that we just had a little over an hour. And I find it much more exciting to answer questions. Green politics in Scotland is part of green politics in the UK and part of green politics in Europe. Today we had an election in Austria where the general shift across Europe, slightly to the right, happened, and you're welcome to ask me questions about what my feelings on the reasons for that are. Certainly in Austria it's perfectly clear, I think. But luckily the Green Party held up. In Italy, again, there's been a steady holding on from Berlusconi in the right wing. The Green Party made progress in Italy. France is one of the countries where the movement seems to have stalled slightly, but we've done very well in Germany historically, and we're still a major force in Germany, a major force in Finland, slightly less of a force in Sweden just now than we used to be. Oddly enough, in Norway, which is a very green country in many ways, the Green Party is run. It's nothing. It hasn't made any impression on Norwegian politics whatsoever. And I don't know what the answer to that is. I could only speculate, but certainly I haven't done any research on it. I don't quite understand why. And in Denmark, we have a socialist party which took up all the green issues many years ago, a different sort of socialist party, if you like, to the socialists, particularly in Scotland, but also in England and Wales. Socialism, I think, means something quite different in Europe, to, shall we say, what Tommy Sheridan and George Galloway stand for. And so the Green Party in Denmark, again, is redundant. It has made no progress whatsoever because the Socialist Party in Denmark has made all the way there. But here, and in England and Wales, and in Ireland, the Green parties in the 4 countries we're talking about, 5 because Northern Ireland has a separate Green Party, have made steady progress over the last 30 years. And it might have something to do with the fact that we came from the protest movements against environmental destruction in the 60s. That was the basis, I think, for all 5 parties. We started as a protest party, which then developed into a party and said, well, it's not enough to scream from the sidelines, we need policies, and we need to, in order to set ourselves up as proper political parties and contest the big arena. And when I joined the Green Party in 1985 as a result of the sinking of the Rainbow Warrior in Auckland Harbour in New Zealand, and the manslaughter, murder of the young Dutch photographer that hadn't been on board, which served some guilty parties there. I just decided on that day, because I hadn't even been a member of a political party up until that point, except briefly at university when I was a member of the Liberals, and secretary of the Liberal Party, which was a Home Rule party in those days. I'm talking about 1958, if you want to guess how long ago that was. But that's when I was at Aberdeen and campaigning for the Liberals Home Rule for Scotland. So at least I have a long credibility in that area. Anyway, that's my background, my personal background, part of it anyway in green politics. What projected me in was this incident in 1985 where I thought that the bad guys and the good guys, I want to be on the side of the good guys. And what I'd been a campaigner, particularly in CND for 30 years. That was the one political movement, if you like, that was actually a member of up until that point. But on that day I had leaflets for Greenpeace and Friends of the Earth in my pocket. I joined all three organisations on the same day. What had rejected me into keeping these pamphlets for those organisations? Well, from 1970 onwards, I've been concerned about the environment, very concerned. I read Rachel Carson's Silent Spring, which showed us how serious the situation was in terms of pollution of our waters, pollution of our biological environments. She, in a sense, started off terms of things like biodiversity and protecting it and ecosystems, because she took an ecosystems approach to her science. Since then, the Scottish Green Party has grown. In the last 10 years, if you take it in terms of political development, look at the history of the Labour Party, which started probably back about the 1860s. You've got Keir Hardie, one person. I'll never be as famous as him, but Keir Hardie got elected, one person, in, I think it was 1887, something like that, I can't remember the date. But it took another 48 years before Labour was elected to rule the country, apart from a very brief interview under Ramsay MacDonald. So, you know, it's 50 years gestation for a political party from being started to any kind of real power. So that's not what we're about. We are about working across Europe with other parties, which means that we have a slightly different attitude to politics than most main parties fighting it out on the big stage. In the first 4 years, I was the only person in Parliament, and I had to work very, very hard indeed. I had superb backup from my own staff at the time, both of whom are now Edinburgh councillors, so they got a reward for that, because that's what they wanted to do, to get involved. Eventually, one of them was not even a member of the Green Party when I took her on as my PA. In fact, neither of them were members of the Green Party when I first met them, but the ideas, the policies, and the rest of them began to grab them over the years as they worked with me. Then we had 7 of us in the Parliament for the next 4 years, and we were a real, under Scottish Parliament rules, we were an official party. So I was an official party leader, except we had this rather odd system to most journalists, probably to many people outside in the general political arena, where we have had, we're the only political party left, the only Green party left in Europe that still doesn't have an official leader, and that is going to have to change. The English were, the dominoes are falling. The English Green Party have realised that there are compromises you have to make. The press cannot understand the idea of gender balance. They can get that, but they can't understand the idea of gender balance leadership, having a man and a woman leading the party. And so it's going to be either a man or a woman for us. I've stepped aside from the leadership of the party 2 weeks ago to make room for the whole debate within the party. Patrick Harvey hopefully will be taking over from me as a co-convener, not the leader. But effectively he will be the leader, just as effectively I was the leader, simply because it's in Parliament. So that's a broad, from a nuts and bolts thing. I haven't talked, as you will notice so far, anything about policy, because that I surmise anyway, maybe where a lot of the questions may come from. But I'll be very happy to answer any other questions about our general organisation, our place within Scottish politics. We have been very effective in the last Parliament in terms of